So today's video is going to be about directed conversation. This was requested by a subscriber. So basically, directed conversation is a harassment technique where acquaintances or strangers will talk about things in your vicinity or directly to you that seem oddly specific to your life or to your situation. So, for example, if let's say one night you're on YouTube and you're watching like self-defense videos or something. And the next day you're on the train and you're just riding on the train and there's two people sitting opposite you. And they start talking about self-defense is useless if you freeze up. Something like that, right? And it seems like oddly specific to you, right? And this will happen over and over and over. This isn't something that's like coincidental. So let's say, another time you're at home and you spill like a drink on your shoes or something. You ruin your fucking shoes. And then the next day you're in a bus stop, you're waiting for the bus and two people walk past. And one of them says to the other one, like, oh, you gotta stop spilling drinks on your shoes, man. Something like that. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, and this will happen over and over and over. And there can be other stuff, right? Like you'll be walking in public and like for like a week straight, you'll be walking past people and they'll be like on their phone or talking to someone. And they'll say something like time's running out. And it'll appear like they're talking to someone on the phone. And, you'll walk past them and that's fine. The next day, again, someone walks past you and they say, time's running out in your vicinity, like very close to you. And like they'll do this like 5 times in a week. They'll do it to the point where it's like you start to like freeze up. You start to kind of like it's very exhausting. Directed conversation can be very exhausting and very sort of creepy. It's very creepy, okay? Now, I've experienced this. There was one perp he was like a master of directed conversation. The way he would use directed conversation, I can't even make an example of it. It was so, and it freaked me out, dude, so much that I can barely remember the things he would say. I remember there was one time we were together and we were sitting there and for 2 hours, I swear to God, for 2 hours straight, he was using directed conversation on me non-stop. He would not stop. It was like, I was frozen. I couldn't even like tap out. I couldn't even say like, I gotta go, I have to leave. I was like frozen in fear, dude. And I saw someone else I knew right after he left. And when he left, he looked at me and he was like, we'll catch up tomorrow. Like he really, it was like gave me the worst feeling, dude. It was terrible. And right after I saw someone I knew and my hand was shaking, dude. I was like, it was fucking crazy. Now, directly conversation is, in my opinion, it's achieved through intelligence gathering. It's achieved through surveillance. For example, your phone, it has a camera, it has microphones, it has location tracking, right? So they know where you've been, they can see what you're doing, and they can hear everything through the microphone. So let's say, location tracking, that's simple. Like they could see a shop that you go to every day. They could see like a certain cafe you go to, let's say. Some cafe. And they can even use that against you. They'll get someone to just walk past you talking about, let's say you've just been to this cafe or you're on your way to this cafe. And let's say you're like 10 minutes away and they'll get someone to walk past you and the person will say something like, so-and-so cafe, only losers go there. Or they'll say shit like that, right? They'll use everything in your life and they'll try to mock you through it, or they'll try to like it's like demeaning. It's very like, very mocking. It's just a weird feeling. It gives you a very strange feeling, this type of shit. It's like you're being bullied by like demons or something. That's what it feels like. It feels like, because, especially in the beginning, because you don't know how the fuck these people know this stuff. And you start to think to yourself, like, am I fucking losing my mind here? And there are times where there will be coincidences where people will be walking around you or will be in your vicinity, and they'll say something that seems specific to your life, but it really is a coincidence. And that's where this stuff becomes difficult, right? Because after a while, trauma, it puts your brain in self-defense mode at 24/7. It makes you hypervigilant. And you'll start to see patterns in things that aren't really intended to be harassment, but that can be interpreted as harassment due to the trauma and the hypervigilance. So there is some instances where that will happen, and that is one of the desired outcomes of these people. They want to get you to the point where you see everything as a pattern, and your brain is constantly hyper aware of every little thing and stuff like that, right? They want to get you to that point, and you got to just go through it, and you got to just you'll get accustomed to it very quick. I don't want to say very quick, it can take years, but you'll get accustomed to it. And don't go off the deep end. That's what they want you to do. They want you to go off the deep end and, have you thinking that they can either read your mind or something like that. No, dude. It's done through intelligence and surveillance. And most of it is done through your phone. Again, cameras on both sides. They can see your surroundings when you have your phone out and you're using it. They can see what you're wearing. If you're using your phone and they peep through your camera, they can see through both sides, right? They can hear everything that goes on in the area. So if your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever is harassing you about something, and you're at home with them and they're harassing you about something, and then when you go out, strangers or people will start saying things to you that are very similar to what your girlfriend or wife said. For example, if they're listening to you having an argument with your girlfriend, and there's something your girlfriend says that makes you explode and makes you really angry, right there they know something that triggers you. Just through peeping through your microphone and listening to your conversations at home. They know something now that triggers you. And then when you're out, they'll bring that up. They'll try to get you because they know that that's something that's a soft spot for you or something. Phones also have location tracking. Again, they know where you've gone, they know where you go, they know places you frequent, all that stuff. And they also know what you search. So they basically have a pretty good idea of if they target you, they have a pretty good idea of where you go, what you look at, the type of conversations you have with people around you, things like that. So I believe, and that's the most logical conclusion, is that it's done through surveillance. And then they feed this information to the agents and the perpetrators and stuff. And those people will just insert little things either, in your vicinity or when they're talking to you in person. If they're if it's an intimate perp or someone who infiltrates your life as a friend or whatever. And when they get close to you, they can do it really well. And, with me, they did it in a way that was, they'd have people get close to me and wouldn't do anything at first. They would just be completely normal for months. Because they knew how sensitized I was, and they knew I was very aware of things that would happen. So they wouldn't do anything for months, and they would get very close to me. And then once they were close to me, that's when they would slowly start to do it, and they would increase it slowly as the weeks go by. They wouldn't just hit me all at once with everything they have. They would, slowly build it up. They would form a sort of emotional, when you're friends with someone, you have an emotional connection to them, like a bond, and it's hard to break, right? So once they know that they've got you, they will start to slowly do it, and they ramp it up to, crescendo, basically. Anyway, that's my video about directed conversation.